and welcome to iHeart Cooking. I'm registered dietitian Jennifer Stachler.
And I'm Chef Dugan Wetzel.
We are brought to you by Reid Health, Community Benefits, WCTV, and RPNL. Today on iHeart Cooking, we're going to be talking about ditch the chips and use veggie chips. iHeart Cooking, we're going to be talking about making healthier chip choices. So if you ever go to the grocery store, you can go down that chip aisle. There's probably like 2 of them that you can walk down, and there's tons of different types of chips in there. A lot of times they're high in calories, high in fats, especially those saturated and trans fats, high in sodium. So we're going to kind of make a healthier chip today. We're going to be doing vegetables. So we have 4 different vegetables that we're going to be trying today to make some chips. We're doing a zucchini, a carrot, a kale, and a spinach. So we got a lot of different things we're going to be trying, and a lot of different spices we're going to be adding to them, give you some variations, a lot of new tools to be using today that we haven't used in past iHeart Cooking programs. So I'm really excited about this kind of set of recipes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think the first one we're really going to get started with is the zucchini.
Right, and we're going to show you a couple different ways on how to cut the zucchini so that you get a decent, consistent chip. Since you are putting them in an oven, we went ahead and preheated it to 450 degrees to get that up to temperature. And while that's preheating, we're going to go ahead and start cutting it. So first thing you're going to do is you're just going to lop off the end. Actually, what I like to do is kind of cut it at a bias to give it that larger surface area. And then just real thin, less than 1/4 of an inch thick, because they're going to be cooked in the oven. You want them to be able to get all that moisture, because when you're cutting it, you'll see it start to shine. There's a lot of water in there, so it's going to take a little bit of time for it to bring out all that water and actually make it the characteristics that you would think of in a chip. So just you want to make sure that they're thin, consistent, so then if they're all consistent, they all cook the same time. You don't have some that are still chewy and then some that are overdone. And another way to do that, if you're not confident enough to cut them yourself, is to use a mandolin. Very easy. You do the same thing. You cut off the end kind of at a bias, and then you just slide it right down. This will ensure that all of your zucchini chips are going to be the same consistent size. So just to give you an idea, and it's a lot faster too. So yeah, consistency is what we're going for here.
And we're starting with the zucchini versus the other chips because these take a little bit longer to cook in the oven. Probably like Dugan says, that high moisture content compared to some of the other vegetables we're using, it's going to take a little bit longer there.
Absolutely. So let me just get a couple more. Okay. We're going to go ahead and add them into a bowl. And then in a separate bowl, we're going to add just a little bit of Parmesan cheese and some breadcrumb.
It's going to give it a nice kind of a crispy flavor on the outside. Again, a lot of times we don't add salt to our products. We're omitting that, but again, that Parmesan cheese will be adding a little bit back into there. Dugan just added some black pepper in there for taste as well. So we're just going to mix that together.
And a nice thing about, we're using a grated Parmesan. It is a dry cheese, so when you put that in the oven, all it's going to do, since there is very little moisture in there already, it's just going to help with the coating aspect. It's going to help that breadcrumb develop that crust on the outside of the zucchini. So really all we're going to do is just kind of mix it, incorporate it, and then those zucchini chips that we've created, we're just going to add a little bit of oil to them. Kind of mix them around, make sure the oil's on all sides of the zucchini. And then they're going to go straight into our breadcrumb mixture. Just coat evenly on both sides.
And we have a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. That way we could, again, even use less oil, since then it won't stick to the actual pan itself. So it's a great option to use. There's also silicone mats that you could possibly use as well to kind of make sure you don't get that stickiness. You're using less oil, which is always going to be nice, because for most chips, when they make them, they deep fry them. For most of them. They do have those baked chips out available that make a little bit more healthier option. So again, we're kind of avoiding that extra oil in products by baking it and also using the parchment paper to even get less oil. So you're drawing out a lot of fat there, you're drawing out a lot of calories, again, making it that healthier choice. And again, the sodium content for this is very low.
Just about done here. And then just like that, these are already assembled and ready to go in the oven. Very easy, very fast option for you at home to create your own zucchini chips. So it's a nice, healthy alternative that really takes no time at all.
The nice thing I also like this is if you grow zucchini in your garden, it feels like you always have abundance of it. You don't know what to do with it all. That's something that, if you catch them small, you want to do a smaller zucchini, because if you do the larger ones, you're going to get all those seeds in there. But if you catch them small and you want to use up some of the zucchinis for, different options, this is a great way to use, all that extra zucchini you could have in the garden.
Absolutely. So yeah, the zucchini chips are ready to go, coated with breadcrumb and Parmesan cheese. We're just going to go in the oven for about 20-25 minutes. So.
So now that our zucchini chips are in the oven baking, we're going to start on to our next chip, which is the carrot chip. And for this one, we're going to kind of change the spices up a little bit. We're going to use some cayenne pepper to add some heat there, just to give you some variations there.
Absolutely. The first thing you want to do with your carrot is peel the outside off of it, rinse it, and then take the tops off. So all we're going to do is just top that off real quick. And since we're using such a thin carrot, you can obviously buy larger ones in the store, but for the purposes of this, we're using a thinner one. We're going to use our knife because it's just easier to cut them. You want to be very careful, making sure that everything's still very thin and consistent. Don't have to hurry through and rush, just take your time. It's a lot, you can enjoy them a lot more if you haven't cut your finger. So,
absolutely.
We've got some pretty consistent medallions here. We're just going to add them to a bowl. A little bit of olive oil. That nice, the fat in the olive oil with the heat is going to help kind of crisp them up as they're being cooked. And then the last thing we're going to do is add just a little bit of cayenne.
And again, like the zucchini chips, we're going to be baking them off. So again, even though we did add some oil there, to make that crisp taste to it and that texture, it's still a lot less than other chips you might find in the store aspect.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're just going to toss them around here.
And again, we're not adding salt to this one. So again, you got the heat and most of the flavor coming from that cayenne pepper, and the carrot itself is going to draw out some of that flavor.
If you're not a fan of cayenne pepper, or you just don't prefer for that heat, another thing you can do is just take some dried chives, mince them up real fine, and then incorporate those with the carrot itself. Chives and carrots are a nice combination together. So just if you're not a big fan of the heat, that's another mild alternative for you.
Absolutely.
Okay. So these carrots, the carrot chips are ready to go. They're also going to go into the oven in about 20-25 minutes again, and then we'll check them and go from there.
So the next one, now that the carrots are back in the oven and the zucchini is still cooking, we're going to flip those here in a little bit. We're going to move on to our next one, which are kale chips.
Absolutely.
And with this one, we're using a bunch of different spices. We have some onion powder, we have some paprika, we have chili powder. We got a lot of mixture. We're going to be adding some flavor with this.
Certainly. So the first thing we're going to do, actually, we've got kale here. It's nice and durable. It's very it's got a lot. It's very versatile. It's got a lot of things you can use it in. But the first thing we're going to do, since we're making chips, we are just going to slide our knife down the stem to get the leaves off of it. And the nice part about that, again, about being versatile, this stem can be used, blended up, pureed, and used for pretty much anything you want. So don't just get rid of it. Put it in a bag. You can freeze it. It'll last 3 to 6 months. It's perfect. So just hold on to it. Don't just discard it right away. So let me pull off a couple more here.
Yeah, I mean, kale's used in a lot of salads as well. You can put it in casseroles, mix it with things. It's very, like Dugan said, it's very durable.
Yeah.
It's, has a great texture for making chips with this as well. Great nutrition. I mean, you're looking at this dark green color. You got a lot of vitamin K, along with other nutrients as well. We've been using a kale, I feel like, a lot in a lot of different cooking classes and recipes. It's just fun to use.
You can hear it when we were talking about how durable it is, kind of cracking as we're pulling it off the stem, which brings itself to be perfect for chips. I mean, it's already got that crunchy aspect to it. You're just gonna put some a little bit of oil and some seasoning on it, and it's going to be ready to go.
Absolutely.
But this is kind of what you're going to be looking for. You're going to pull that off, and it still stays together really well. And you're just going to pull off chip-sized pieces of kale.
And many of you at home might be thinking, okay, why would I make my own kale chips if I can go to the grocery store, walk up, grab a bag of them that are already made for me? These are quick and easy recipes. A lot of times, especially for kale and the next one's going to be spinach, we can do these in like 20, 25 minutes or less from start to finish. But we're not adding a lot of that salt. And if you look at a lot of those kale chips that are already prepackaged, they have a lot of extra fat there. They have a lot of extra sodium there, and we're kind of getting rid of all of that. And it's something that, I mean, once you make these, they'll last a couple of days.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just finish that real quick. What we're gonna do is just put it in a bowl here and add just a little bit of oil. Now with kale, it's so rigid and it's got a lot of crevices in there. You kind of want to massage it a little bit to get that oil into those areas that aren't so easily noticed.
Yeah, you can start to see that shiny color to it. The green kind of pops out when you put some of that oil on there as well. So you kind of know you're incorporating all around. Yeah,
it's easy to see where you've been and what you still need to get. So, okay, I think we're good to go. We're going to go ahead and add the rest of our seasonings. Like Jennifer said, we've got some smoked paprika, we've got some chili powder, a little bit of garlic, and some onion powder.
Yeah, a lot of nice flavor here. And you could hear us say onion powder and garlic powder. Again, we're not using the onion salt or the garlic salt. Make sure you do see the difference when you're buying spices in the spice aisle, because we want to, again, lower that sodium there. And there's our buzzer, I think, to remind us we're going to turn those zucchini and those chips halfway so the other side can continue baking and get even brownness on both sides.
Yep. So we'll let that sit and we'll come over here and check on our zucchini chips.
You can see that, I mean, they're browning, especially on both sides. Again, this depends on the thickness, but we want that other side moisture kind of to brown up a little bit more. We'll also make sure we check our carrots as well.
I would say we have about a couple more minutes on both of them and we'll be ready to go. So
Yep.
we'll just let that go for a little bit. Come back here and finish up on the kale chips. What I really like about these is they took 2 minutes for the zucchini and the carrots to assemble them, and then into the oven they go. You're done with them. You just pull them out when they're ready. Same with the kale and the spinach one that we're going to do next. They're so fast that it's easy. It takes no time at all.
Yeah.
So.
I say 30 minutes or less for each of these. I mean, you get to the spinach one, it's going to be very quick. So they cook very short amount of time they need in the oven to, bake off and get crunchy. So yes, very easy to do at home, very quick. So I know it's tempting to go to that grocery store, and easily grab it when you're getting your groceries, a bag of veggie chips or any other types of chips, and you're like, well, why would I go home and spend any time? But you're getting a lot of nutrition aspect of this, and that's something you can't get in anything else.
Okay, we'll just let those kind of spread out. For these kale chips, they're already pretty firm, so the timing of them, they don't take the 20 to 25 minutes. They're more like 5 actually, or 5 to 10, depending on the temperature of your oven. The recipe, I believe, calls for 320 degrees. That'll keep you right around that 10-minute mark. You don't want them to get too hot and dry out too fast, so that's why we're going to put them in here in a little second. We'll come back over here and check on our carrots and our zucchini.
So we're going to move on and start our spinach chips. And again, these are the quickest out of the 3 chips that we're doing. Less than probably 10 minutes start to finish, really, with bacon and everything. And as you can see, Dugan's starting off by just kind of taking some of the
just taking the stems off. Yep, that's all we're going to do. Give it that nice chip presentation. They're already fairly cylindrical, very oval shaped. So we're just going to take the ends, the stems here, and just pop them off, and then put them straight into our bowl.
And I mean, spinach, just like kale, very versatile.
Oh, yeah.
You can cook with it. You can put it into smoothies. You can put it into stews or soups. You can put them into chips. Again, this is something that, again, if you grow spinach in your garden at the end of summer, you have all of this harvest. You can't eat enough spinach salad, or you have leftovers.
Right.
This is a great thing to use any kind of leftover spinach that you might have as well. It's a dark green leafy vegetable, a lot of great nutrition, just like the kale. So it's just a great add-on to a snack idea.
And we're just going to do exactly like we did for the other 3. Just a little bit of oil in there. Kind of just be very gentle with it because it is such a delicate leaf. Just kind of get it all over both sides of the spinach. And then we're going to add some Italian seasoning to it.
So another type of seasoning compared to the first couple that we have done. Just give you ideas of different things you could possibly use for the chips. Again, any kind of flavor preference you like and you want to pair things together, it's very doable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. So now all we're going to do is go over here to our parchment lined baking sheet and lay them out flat.
You can see Dugan's leaving space in between each one of them. If you have a large batch, don't try to crowd them all together because you're not going to have even baking on that sheet.
Right.
So doing exactly what Dugan is, giving lots of room to have the heat surround the whole entire leaf of the spinach.
Okay. So that is ready to go. We're going to put it in an oven, 320 degrees for about 8 to 10 minutes. Got her?
Yep.
Okay.
So the nice thing about these is not only do you you know, we use zucchini, carrots, spinach, and kale, but I mean, you can even use sweet potatoes. You can make regular potato chips as well, doing the same aspect of baking them. We kind of use some more of our non-starchy vegetables here, bring down the carbohydrates a little bit more in these vegetables. Also the potatoes and sweet potato, if you do those kind of chips, they take a little bit longer in the oven. So those are a little bit longer snacks. Again, all three of these are great snack ideas. You can make them in 30 minutes or less. So we'll give them all a try here. You can see we have the zucchini chips, we have the carrot chips, the spinach chips, and the kale chips. Great flavor. I love that texture of the Parmesan cheese and that breadcrumb there.
Right.
A lot of good flavor.
Nice, that salty aspect that you normally get from salt. The Parmesan cheese in there. Very, very good.
And we have our little carrot chips here. A lot of flavor from that carrots. Carrots are sweet in general itself. You don't really have to add extra flavor if you don't there, but a little bit of that kick of the cayenne pepper, but
just a little bit in the back end, but it's carrot all the way there, absolutely.
I mean, these are chips that my daughter would love, just for a fact, quick snack. I mean, you always want them to try to choose healthy snacks. Big thing I'm working on this year is I see a lot of individuals don't get enough of their vegetable intake, especially those non-starchies. Such a great choice to do here, to get it in as a snack. Try some of these kale and spinach here. You can actually see some of the kale breaking off there because it's so dried now.
Nice and crunchy.
That is. Great kind of spice there. I can definitely get a hint of that paprika and chili powder there. Kind of melts in your mouth kind of too.
It does,
as you kind of get some of the crunch, but as a sister, it kind of melts there. Very great texture there. Very different. And again, we got the spinach here. Now those literally melt in the mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, you
really
got
quick.
the first initial kind of crunch, but because like Dugan said, they're delicate. They almost look translucent. Definitely kind of melt away there.
Absolutely.
But kind of very different textures, all three of them too.
They really were. Yeah. The carrot had that almost chewy aspect to it that you would expect from a cooked carrot, but then the spinach is very thin. It dissolved as soon as you put it in your mouth.
Absolutely.
You get that flavor, but it's absolutely. It's super thin.
So possibly ditch those other chips, try some of these, definitely get those vegetable intake in, and again, great snack, 30 minutes or less. Thanks for tuning in today to iHeart Cooking. We hope you enjoyed these recipes on different chips.
If you'd like more recipes like the ones you saw today, visit reidhealth.org/iHeartCooking.
See you next month.